This is Secret Mom Hacks, episode number 24. My name is Krista, and I am your host. It's July 19th, 2023, and since we're in the throes of summer, maybe you're spending lots of time with your kiddos at the pool like we are, I thought it was hugely important to talk about swimming and water safety here on Secret Mom Hacks. So in today's episode, I am joined by the incredible Coach Dana, a swim instructor in the Middle Tennessee area who has over 15 years of swim coaching experience. You can find her online at swimwithcoachdana.com. But before we dive into our interview and discussion about swim safety with kids, I just want to say thanks for tuning in, Mama. I started this podcast because babies don't come with instructions. As of this recording, I am chasing around a 5-year-old that no amount of Googling mom groups or what to expect books were able to prepare me for. There's a lot of stuff people don't talk about when it comes to pre-pregnancy, during pregnancy, and postpartum. And as someone who was previously terrified of all of the above, I'm here to help you pull back the curtain on all of it. And every now and then, it may get a little messy. We may share a little TMI, but that's why you're here, right? My goal is you will leave every episode feeling refreshed, inspired, and hopeful, knowing you are not on this mom journey alone. Now, there's a lot of subject matter to cover when it comes to mom life, and we are covering it all. So let's jump into the interview with Coach Dana. Coach Dana, I am so excited to have you here today because my daughter is obsessed with your swim lessons. She has so much fun. She tells everybody about you when people ask her, "What have you been doing this summer?" "I've been swimming with Coach Dana." She loves them so much. And I can't remember if I mentioned this to you or not, but we did swim lessons last summer. All I'll say is we did it somewhere else. And we just did not really have a great experience. I mean, nothing terrible happened, but I felt like she wasn't retaining things and there were just lots of distractions. And we had done those swim lessons probably 6, 7, maybe 8 times. And I feel like she learned more from you in 1 or 2 lessons than she learned for that entire experience with that other swim class. So our wonderful experience with you has been, of course, why I wanted to talk with you on Secret Mom Hacks, to just hear more about swim safety and why you enjoy teaching kiddos. Your classes are so fun. I've been to a lot of sessions with my daughter and I enjoy watching. She has a blast. And so anything that she's enjoying while also learning something is a win-win. And of course, at the end of the day, I just want her to be safe around water as we're traveling or camping or doing whatever, making sure that our family feels safe being near water. So thank you for being here today.
Well, thanks for inviting me. I'm so excited to be part of this podcast.
Yes, I'd love for you to share a little bit more about you and how long you've been teaching kiddos, your passion for teaching children to swim and all that jazz.
Sure. Well, being older does help with my experience. So I've been teaching kids to swim for almost 16 plus years. I have learned a lot in that journey. I started out as a lifeguard at the YMCA. And as you lifeguard, and this was after my kids were grown. So I have 3 sons of my own, and all 3 of them were swimmers and on swim team. And I grew up in the water myself. In fact, my best childhood memories always seem to have something to do with water. And I don't think that that's uncommon. I think that's actually a very common thing. Most of our vacations are around water. Most of our good memories are around water. And it's just such a fun thing to be in water. It's refreshing. It's almost like takes you out of the world because you're in this place where there's no gravity. And anyways, I started as a lifeguard. I watched people teaching and I just kind of liked that. So I just evolved from there. I started teaching, and then from teaching, I started coaching, not just kids, but adults and everybody of all ages. And then I started getting my credentials and my certificates. And then I ended up leaving the YMCA, and then I just started going private. I started at an HOA, Homeowners Association, swimming and teaching in their pools. And then I just branched out to my own. That's how it started.
You are just so fabulous about keeping on time and keeping everybody on track. And like I said, kids often, I mean, it's like herding cats. And you're really
Yeah.
good about just keeping their attention and making it fun, and they're excited to be there. They're having so much fun, and I feel like there's not a, oh, Coach Dana is going to have to get on to me. I've never experienced that because they're all just excited to be there.
Well, and when that does happen, you see the look of disappointment in their eyes. They do not want to disappoint Coach Dana. And I appreciate that relationship because I feel like when you're in water and it is considered a dangerous thing, there's no better way to teach water safety than by developing trust and eliminating fear. And I go to every effort to make sure that the students trust me. So if they say, I don't want to go under, I don't want to go under, I don't want to go under, I say, I hear you. I will not put you under. That doesn't mean I won't put them under eventually.
Right.
But at that point, I'm going to gain their trust and I'm going to say, I hear you and we will not go under. But I'm going to go under. And so I show by example, look how fun it is to go all the way underwater. Watch for my bubbles. And then they're like, and when I sing my goodbye song, I never imagined in my wildest dreams that that would be such a motivating thing for the kids. I want to be able to go underwater and wave goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a huge motivator for the kids to get to that point where they can wave to me under the water in our goodbye song.
Yes.
I had no idea.
Yes. And so many of them end up doing it unprompted. They're just seeing you do it and then they do it.
Yes, because they want to. Don't ever, as a parent, for a mom hack, don't ever underestimate the power of your example. And that goes with water. So if you want to dunk your child and that you want your child to be comfortable with their face in the water, well, you need to do it too.
Mm-hmm.
You need to forget about the makeup and forget about the good hair day. And you need to go under too.
Yes.
So just as a way of advice.
Yes. What would you say is the best age for kids to start learning how to swim?
Well, I feel like exposure is really important. Exposure to water is really important. And you should start that at 6 months. I'm not going to say that they can retain that. They don't really retain any skills or anything that they've learned other than they've had exposure.
Mm-hmm.
So that eliminates the fear factor if it's constant. If the exposure to water is constant as they grow up, then the fear factor is eliminated unless they've had a traumatic experience. And so as a parent, trying to teach your child's safety in the water, keep doing the exposure, but also keep them safe so it's not traumatic for them. So it's not about, I'm going to throw you in and see if you can swim. It's more about, let me show you how to swim and let's swim together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kids retain the skills around ages 4, 5, 6. They retain them really quickly, even 3. And the national age limit for group lessons is 3 years old because that's when they can start really interpreting your words and putting your words to an action. So they can participate in a group class at the age of 3 because they can follow direction.
Got it.
And that's when they really kind of can start retaining, but then the motor skills are much more developed at the ages of 4, 5, and 6. So at age 3 and younger than that, it's all about the safety. It's all about safety at the wall, safety getting in, safety getting out at the wall, using the wall to motate around the pool safely. And so at those ages, it's usually just all about the safety factor of water, how to blow bubbles, how to keep water out of your nose and mouth, how to float. those safe
Sure.
things. And yeah, and then 4 to that is all about building the skills.
What is something parents don't often think about pertaining to water safety?
Well, as a parent, it's our job to keep our children safe. That we want to keep them safe, we want to keep them happy, we want to keep them healthy. And when water plays a part in that, you as a parent trying to keep them safe can instill fear in the child, especially if the parent is fearful of water. And I don't think it happens on purpose. I don't think it's intentional at all. But I do think that parents instill fear in the child about water. And so we kind of need to be cautious about that and make sure that when you're trying to keep a child safe around water, that it is, oh, look, that is a potential danger. And I talk with the kids first thing when they're first come to my class. I talk with them about how to assess danger and how to assess safety. And parents already do that. They're already assessing danger. They're already assessing, but your safety, but kids don't know that, right? Parents don't say, oh, I'm going to assess what's safe here now, and I'm going to assess what's dangerous here now. No, you don't say that. But I would include children in that conversation. Oh, look, we're at a new lake today, and I see a pier right here that we could walk out on and we can look in the water. But we're going to do that by holding hands because it might not be a place where we want to fall or something like that. So include the child in your assessment. Oh, this might be deep here, so we're going to hold hands. Or look at this is a perfect place for you to play. You can throw rocks right off of this beach because there's not a big current. So this is a good place for you to play. So I would say that including them in your assessing danger and safety around water would be helpful for them. That way they kind of understand and don't translate that into a fear.
Sure. I'd never thought of that.
There's a great quote by Edwin Cole, who wrote the book called The Alchemist. And he said, we drowned not by falling into a river or into water, but by staying submerged in it. And so that is the fear, right? That we stay submerged in it. But playing in water is the funnest thing ever. So remember that as a mom and as a parent, that playing in water is fun. The fear is, and the danger comes from staying submerged in it. And so when we can teach our child how to not submerge in water by staying close to the wall, holding on to the wall, climbing in and out of the wall, then we're really accomplishing a lot by helping them be independent in a safe way that could pose danger.
Sure. Now, let's take a quick break. Hey, Secret Mom hackers. Are you a budget-savvy family looking for a financial tool that can help you take control of your spending and savings? Well, I've got something fantastic to share with you. Cube Money. Cube Money is the ultimate budgeting solution that's tailor-made for families who want to manage their money with ease and precision. Here's why our family loves it. It's just like the envelope system we all know, but digitized. Imagine the simplicity of old school envelope budgeting, but with a modern twist. Cube Money digitizes the envelope system, allowing you to allocate funds to specific spending categories right from your smartphone. It's like having a set of virtual envelopes for groceries, entertainment, and more, all in one app. The whole family benefits. Cube Money isn't just for individuals. It's designed to accommodate the needs of your entire family. You can set up sub-accounts for your spouse and kids, helping everyone stay on the same financial page. It's a powerful tool for teaching financial responsibility to your children. Stress-free savings. Planning for the future is a breeze with Cube Money. You can easily allocate funds for savings goals, whether it's a family vacation, a new home, or an emergency fund. It's all about turning your financial dreams into reality. So if you're ready to simplify your family's budgeting, track your spending with precision, and achieve your financial goals, give Cube Money a try. Visit their website at Cube Money to learn more. That's QUBE money.com to learn more and use the discount code SECRETMOMHACKS, all one word, SECRETMOMHACKS, to get 2 months of their premium or family plans for free. Cube Money, on a mission to see you live more and worry less. Try Cube Money today. Now back to the show. How do you feel about life jackets, floaties, water wings? We have been trying to balance that. Like, you've got to earn your life jacket. You know, we need to go to the pool, and for 15 minutes, we're going to practice some things we've learned with Coach Dana. And then once we've gone through that, we'll put your life jacket on you.
That is excellent advice. I mean, I think that's great, a great way to handle it. Children need to learn their own body buoyancy in the water. As you know, it changes. And the deeper you get into the water, the more it changes. And when a child doesn't really understand their own buoyancy in water, it can throw their feet out from under them and then they fall down. And there's a problem because then they don't know how to get their feet back under them and they stay submerged. And so it's a really important skill for them to learn their own body buoyancy in the water. So many children will say, "Oh, I know how to swim." No, not when you have floaties on your arms. That's not swimming. It's a false security. So if you practice with them in the water for just a little bit before they get their floaties on, then that's good because then they have had time to practice to become familiar with their own buoyancy in the water. I think it's great that they get some independence and freedom in the water with water wings or whatever it may be. But as a parent, you need to be diligently supervising with water wings or floaties. The only time that you might be able to be a little bit laxed in your supervision with your children in the water is if they do have a Coast Guard certified device, okay? And it has a stamp on the back of it that says Coast Guard certified flotation device. And if they have that on, then you can be a little less diligent in your supervision because those are designed to keep their head above water at all costs. Unless the child is trying to put their head in the water, which I saw just the other day. Some kids were playing in the water with their Coast Guard certified life jackets on, and they were trying to put their face in the water, but they were safe nonetheless, and the parents didn't have to worry about them. But it's not like that with floaties or those water wings, anything that's not Coast Guard certified, diligent supervision always.
Is there an instance where the life jackets, the floaties, the water wings are dangerous?
There's two that I can think of off the top of my head. One is the false security, so that a child thinks, "Oh, I know how to swim." And so they jump in without their water wings on and realize, "Oh, whoops, I don't know. I'm not floating like I usually do with the water wings on." I don't think they connect those two. And so that could be a danger. And then them falling off while they're swimming could be dangerous if they don't fit well and then falling off. And they are not certified to keep the child's head above water. So they could tip easily and then have everything backwards. And so those are the cautions. And the advice again is just diligent supervision unless it's Coast Guard certified flotation device.
What are your top 3 to 5-ish most important swim safety tips for children and parents?
Well, you've participated in this conversation with me when I was talking with your daughter. Every new student starts with a conversation about water safety. And the first thing that I say, I ask them, it's so cute. "So, what is rule number 1 about water safety?" "Don't run. No running on the deck." That's what they always say first. And I'm like, isn't it interesting that that's the one thing that they remember when they're not even in the water? They think that running on the deck is the most dangerous. Well, of course it's dangerous because they can fall and hurt their head on the hard concrete, but that's not the most dangerous. The most dangerous is swimming alone, getting in and around water alone. That is the most dangerous part of water. And so the rule is no one, not even Coach Dana, not any adult, should ever swim alone. Not any children, no one should swim alone, because if you need help, you need it immediately in water. Immediately. I mean, you have what? Less than 6 minutes, maybe, if that. So never swim alone. That's rule number one. And children need to know that safety rule. Safety rule number two is I think it's really important that they listen and are obedient when it comes to commands around water, especially with me as a swim coach, because, or as a swim instructor, if I have one child who won't listen, the danger for them just multiplies tremendously, and everybody else in the water too. So I think that they need to be willing to be obedient to your parent or their swim instructor's counsel and advice and direction, because that's those are all given for safety reasons. Another thing that I would say is life jackets. Those Coast Guard certified life jackets are really important. And I think if a parent wants to have a flotation device on their child so that they feel independent and swimming in the water and are safe, I would get a comfortable Coast Guard certified life jacket for them to wear. They have new ones that have that chest thing and the wings on the side. Use those instead of those blow up arm things. Use one that you can really trust. If it's that important to you that your child is safe in the water, then get a Coast Guard certified flotation device that's got that stamp on the back. For parents, don't allow too much roughhousing in a swimming pool, because the concrete wall is not far away. The bottom of the pool is not far away. I like kids having fun in the water. I think that's great, but don't let it get too out of hand. I'm thinking of the chicken fights and things like that that the teenagers like to do. And I've had kids do it in my pool, and I'm watching, but don't let it get out of hand. And then also, I think another obvious, I don't know, maybe it's not obvious, but kids love to dive, and they are not, once they know how to dive, they like to dive, and they're not ever conscious of the depth of the pool when they do it. So don't let people dive in shallow water. Make sure they're diving in the deep end, and always dive with your hands protecting your head. Never jump anywhere with head first, ever, in any swimming pool or anything. You should always protect your head when you're diving and diving in the deep end. And that's posted at every swimming pool, no diving, no diving, right? But parents need to be cautious and aware to make sure that that doesn't happen. Every time I'm swimming with a group of people, which is a lot, there's always one person who thinks that they can dive in the shallow end, and they usually are safe at it, but there's always that one time when they're not, which you don't want to have happen.
Well, there's only one Coach Dana, and I'm so glad we found you.
Thank
but,
you. That's so nice.
but there are kids and families who need help swimming everywhere. And just like I said, if it had not been for one of my daughter's friends' mamas who told us about you, we would either be going back to where we were and probably unhappy, or we just may not even be doing lessons. So I'm very indebted to her for sharing you with us. So, how do parents find a vetted, experienced swim instructor like you if they're not in this area?
Well, that's a good question. But I think word of mouth and referrals, like your experience, a friend, I think it just has to be through word of mouth, through referrals, through friends, maybe through Facebook groups, maybe through moms clubs, people who can say, hey, I've used this teacher and she worked really great for my kid. So maybe you should try her. And you could always do Google searches. I know that some people have found me through Google searches. And community pools, they have swim instructors as well. They're usually teenagers and not very experienced. But then again, you can't discount the exposure to the water, the safety that that teacher provides while they're in the water. And there is some skill learned, maybe just not accelerated at a pace that a parent would like to see.
Mm-hmm. Part of what makes your sessions so fun, and I know you do private lessons, which we haven't done yet, but we're about to. But what makes your classes so fun is you're singing, you are teaching the kids songs about swimming and how swimming is fun. And anytime you can make learning fun and you can incorporate play into that learning, not only is it just going to be easier and much more likely that the kids are going to go along, but they're also going to retain it. I can't tell you how many times we've come home and she's singing the hello there, swimming time is finally here, or goodbye now. Like we're singing your songs, and she'll like put her head down, like pretending like she's going underwater and say goodbye. But you make it so much fun for them. Kids are so creative and expressive and they like play. And so I think that's really what sets, in addition to, of course, your experience and your knowledge, but that really sets these classes apart is that playtime and the expressive time, because the previous instructor and classes summer of last year, there was nothing like that. It was truly like, okay, let's get you in the water, blow some bubbles. I'm going to hold you and we're going to make scoops through the water. It was not playful. And so I think that's a huge differentiator for you.
Oh, thank you. And I'm just a kid at heart. I mean, what can I say? I love to play games, and I don't have a great voice, but I love singing songs. And I know that just based on my experience, some of my most important lessons I've learned through song, through music. And so I feel like everything that we learn in the water is important because water it's for sport, it's for fun, it's for life. And learning these skills that the kids are learning, it's a lifelong skill that's going to increase their capacity to enjoy life because water is joyful. And so I hope that that's the message that I give when I'm teaching, because that's how I truly feel.
It definitely is. It for sure is.
When I was a parent, all my kids are grown up. Now I have grandkids now. And so I felt like I grew up around water. I never took lessons. I used to go to the neighbor's pool with all of my friends, and they would all be swimming in the deep end, but I wasn't allowed to swim in the deep end yet. And so it was at that time that I learned that I needed to stay by the wall to be safe. And isn't that interesting that my experience as a child is now what I'm teaching children? I'm teaching them now how the wall is safe. I don't know if you've ever experienced that in any other swimming lessons that you've been involved in. I've never experienced it there. But when I was a child, I knew that I had to stay safe at the wall until I knew how to swim. And I figured it out by myself. Nobody taught me how to do it. I did have a friend that kind of encouraged me a little bit, that said, oh, you need to do this, paddle your arms, scoop. So I figured out how to dog paddle. And then I was able to once I could swim a full length of the pool, then I could go play in the deep end with the other people. So I just find that it's interesting. I discovered that as a child. And so think back, parents, what did you learn about water when you were a child? And use that for your child if it's an encouraging water play. Of course, if it's a bad example, then use that in a positive way to help your child in the water. The important thing is respect your children with their desires around water. If they are fearful, respect that. Don't encourage more fear by going against their wishes. Instead, use natural consequences through play for them to discover it. So let me just give you an example. Let's say your child is saying, I'm afraid to go underwater. And usually they're afraid to go underwater because they don't like water going up their nose and in their mouth. They usually probably have their mouth open and they're swallowing gobs of water and they don't want to do that. So they're like, I don't want to go underwater. So first of all, acknowledge that and say, okay, we won't go underwater. And then practice the bubbles and the humming and how to do breath control around water. And then start teaching them how to jump in, because the natural consequence of jumping in is going underwater, right? So you're not forcing it. It's naturally happening because that's a natural consequence of jumping in. So when you're catching them, naturally let them fall in the water and then lift them out again, because they will figure out how to deal with it. They'll figure out how to overcome it. And yet you're still respecting their wish of not going under. So in all skills around water, just honor their fear factor and their request if it's fearful for them, and show by example. I mean, if you want them to go underwater, you got to go under too. Play peekaboo, play hide and seek, play some kind of fun game, and they'll eventually learn.
Where are some of the best places to get water toys for kids that are safe?
Well, eventually, I hope to have my own. Eventually, I hope to have my own water toys that I can like sell, but I don't have that yet. So there's two different water toys that you have. You have your sinkers and you have your floaters, and you should have both if you want to encourage water play with your kids. The floaters are ones that they can swim around. Also, toys that spray water. If you have children that don't like water in their face. Okay, so here we go. I have a little bit of a pet peeve. If people are around water and they say, "Oh, don't splash me," then get away from the water if you don't want to be splashed, because that's what happens around water.
Yes.
That is a natural consequence that happens around water. If you don't want to be splashed, then don't be around water. So if a child says, "Don't splash me," then you need to get a ball and start splashing them.
Makes sense.
But you need to get a ball that's going to splash them in the face and play catch, and make sure that that ball is splashing them in the face with that natural consequence of water in the face, so that they get used to it in a playful situation. That's why I like the Mr. Suns, because you toss them at them and they'll spray water on the face on you. And anyways, they're just fun to play with. And then there's the sinker toys. And that's a fun way that they can learn how to submerge into water, and that helps them learn their buoyancy and their balance. And lots of lessons are learned by sinker toys. So where do you get them? Just at any store. Anytime I go into any store, I go to this swimming department and I see the toys that they have. And there's lots of ones that are just not so good. So be sure that they're good quality and that they're colorful, so that they're easy to find in the swimming pool, and that they serve the purpose that you're trying to make them serve. Sinker versus floater, and point those features out to your kids so that they understand floating, sinking, floating, sinking.
That makes sense. I've got to stay tuned for when Coach Dana's swim toys come out. That's very exciting, because I guarantee you they will be super fun. They will work super well, and your kiddo will love them. So let's definitely keep our eyes peeled for those. Okay, so huge thanks to Coach Dana for taking time from her busy schedule to talk with us about swim safety today. I found her knowledge about life jackets and the importance of a U.S. Coast Guard approved flotation device so helpful. In fact, if you head over to secretmomhacks.com, I've got the transcript from today's conversation, plus a video and link to more information to help you select the safest life jackets for your family. Make sure you follow Coach Dana on Instagram and Facebook by searching for Swim with Coach Dana. And don't forget to swing by her website, swimwithcoachdana.com, for more information as well. I'm curious what your favorite part of our interview was. I hope you're walking away inspired with tips for safer swimming. I know I am. And if that's the case, please subscribe for free to Secret Mom Hacks if you haven't already. Give me a 5-star rating and leave a review sharing your favorite takeaway so far. Make sure you stop by secretmomhacks.com, where you can find transcripts for other episodes as well, resources, and more. Stay tuned for next week's episode, and until then, you've got this, Mama.